Carnivore starts as an ingredients list, a really, really simplified ingredients list. And if you can get your head around those basic ingredients and what to do with them so that your mouth is happy, your brain is happy, and your body is happy, then you're going to win on carnivore.
We live in a different world. Back in the day and I'm fine. McDonald's fries back then versus now. Ice cream back then versus now. Ritz crackers back then versus now. Glyphosate usage back then versus now. Back then cannot be compared to now. We live in a different world.
This carnivore ingredients list, it's really simple and it's really clean. And what it does for you is it creates a food environment that is almost zero toxins. The ability for your body to function without all the noise that those toxins provide, or that extra work for the toxins to do to get the toxins out of the body, because the body doesn't know what to do with them. It provides you with a physical environment where your body can heal, your body can do a lot more of what it's meant to do. You can sleep better because your body's not spending time getting rid of toxins before it can relax and do some repairs. While we have lots and lots of toxins in our environments, and I mean, we have toxins from our food environment, our water environment, our electrical environment, our light environment. We have toxins that our bodies kind of will make inappropriately because of our thought environments. Toxins are like a really loud booming noise, something really unpeaceful, quite opposite to the bird song of nature. And like all loud noises, human beings will acclimatize, adapt, so that we can function despite the loud noise. And that's what we do with all the toxins. And we still look like we're functioning because we just use some other chemicals to mask. And once you get to a point where your system is too toxified to be able to do much of anything, and you have to pull all the toxins out, you may very well have found the carnivore diet. And I think you're lucky if you have. The advantage of a very, very clean food environment is not that you will remove all toxins, because you won't, but you will have removed the major incoming physical toxin into your system. And we have to remember that anything that the body can't work with and has to work and do extra work to balance against it, counterbalance, we have to consider that a toxin. So sugar is a toxin. If you take in more sugar than what your body would be producing in that 5 or 10 minute period, that's a toxin that it has to go and deal with. It has to make insulin so that it can grab the blood sugar so that it doesn't run around and fry your brain. What's it going to do with it? What does insulin say? Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with it. So we take it to the liver and we drop it off. What's the liver going to do with it? Well, it will turn it into fat. And those fat cells will be sent around the bloodstream to be deposited wherever. This is an ill effect of a sugar toxin. If you have toxins running around in your bloodstream that your body doesn't know how to get rid of, or it has too much of a toxic load and it can't get rid of it fast enough, you're going to have physical effects of those toxins running around in your body. It can be affecting your brain. It can be affecting your hormones being produced, because your brain instructs your body to create hormones. Everything gets out of balance when it's not in line with nature. And chemicals that are man-made through ideas of man are not of nature. I don't think anyone's disputing that. I think the problem that the modern day general society has is thinking deeply and making commitments that go beyond just that moment and just that symptom. I think the convenience of our world likes to put things into boxes and just tick the one box and say, yay, I did a good job because I ticked the box. You also maybe created another 10 boxes that now have to be ticked by some other action. Toxicity is like a silent killer. And we are basically being convinced that it's not a biggie, it's not a big problem. I, on the other hand, believe it is a really big problem. I have the benefit of having carnivore lifestyle experience, and I have lived in the country, living a basic, clean life without big noise, without big chemicals, air clean, water clean, everything clean. And that experience of life, well, that's just really close to nature. And so I have an experience of life that I rely on as a baseline of a natural, lovely experience of life. And then something happened while living in the city, rushing around a little bit too much, getting a little tired. I had an accident in the kitchen. And I didn't think it was too big a deal until the next morning, when it hadn't done any resolving and I had to take myself to the hospital. This is about half a week later. Can you see? It's not gory anymore. 4 or 5 stitches, and some anesthetic and a tetanus injection. That was enough toxicity for me to roll straight into couch potatoism, thoughts of doom, really wanting to just quit things that just the day before I was really quite happy with those things. All because of toxicity. So granted, I am not acclimatized to toxicity anymore. I recognize that. I recognize my clean living puts me at a bit of a disadvantage in this modern world. I get that. But I like how I feel when everything's clean. So I just waited. And I sat on the couch and I put up with the thoughts of doom and I read a book. And that was probably, at the time, the only positive thing, because I sat on the couch and I actually read my book instead of working all the time, because I like my work. I also like my book, and I'm now halfway through, which is awesome. But I recognize from that whole experience of the thoughts of doom, the not wanting to get off the couch. Of course, I still ate from my clean ingredients list, and I still did my morning routine of sauna and stretch and vibration plate and walk the dog for an hour. That's about it, though. That and couch and read the book. 3 days. I did go out on Tuesday night to my choir, which brought about some really good endorphins, being around some beautiful people singing together and having fun with music. It was really, really nice. But Wednesday, I was still down in the dumps. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Yesterday was Thursday and I woke up. And when I woke up, I was awake. So I did my morning routine and then I sat down, not on the couch, at the computer. So I went from there to here and I worked all day yesterday and I felt amazing because I was participating in my life again. And all of a sudden, I didn't have thoughts of doom. I didn't have the negative trying to get me this. It's like a depression monster trying to convince me that the way that I'm choosing to live my life and what I'm choosing to do in my life, it's wrong, it's not going to be helpful, it's not going to work, you're going to be destitute and lonely and all that. I'm so glad Thursday came, but I recognize it was the toxicity. And the most important thing for me in my entire existence is to live clean, because those 3 days reminded me of how my life was every single day before I got off the mainstream bandwagon and decided to go figure out what all this rubbish is. And I slowly and consistently removed things from my diet environment, my food environment, and my greater environment. And I have this policy now. If it aggravates me, it's got to go. It's got to go. Somehow it's got to go. Because a happy Joanna is a very, very productive and helpful Joanna. I don't think I could do the life coaching, the effective, supportive, it's exciting life coaching work that I do if I wasn't clean of toxicity like I am. I've never been able to do it the way that I can do it now. And I love it. And I love the gains that my clients make. And I look forward to when my clients book in and I send them off the invoice. I really look forward to the time that they're going to come onto Zoom and interact and make changes happen. Just from energetically connecting. And I have this ability to connect, looking at this big picture, and I can just somehow connect things that for the client are totally never thought to be connected, and I seem to just connect them, and I never knew. And then they have an emotional response to that connection because that's the healing that needed to happen. And I adore my work. I couldn't do it. Not if I was like the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sitting on the couch like a potato. I was a potato. So, toxicity, it's not to be taken lightly. The longer you are in a clean environment, the more sensitive you are to when the toxins come back into your environment. And I'm willing to have paid the price. I'm not regretful for the 3 days of detox, but it really did feel like coming off a very harsh drug. Never actually come off a very harsh drug addiction, but I can imagine. I can imagine. I don't think I could do that again. I'm going to be really careful with the knives. I don't want toxification, not if I can help it. So I think carnivore is a really, really sensible thing to do in light of how toxic our world truly is and how these toxins are actually affecting us. And until you get yourself into a really clean environment, you won't know. You just won't know. I had no idea how toxic my environment was until I detoxified it and remained clean for a little while, a couple of years. And now I'm now that I've got dairy out of my diet, I honestly believe that if I keep everything that's out, the stevia, the coffee, and the dairy, and of course all the plants, out of my diet, in 2 years, maybe 3, I won't have the existence of all the really bad bacteria in my gut. There's a great Homestead How video that you've got to go and watch, and I might do a review just to encourage people to go watch it, about the gut bacteria and how they stick around even though you don't really feed them very much. They're very clingy, the bad bacteria. So anyway, enough blah blah blahs. Think about the toxicity. Think about if you're trying to do the carnivore diet and you need a reason to stick to your clean ingredients list, this is a big reason. Removing the toxins from your environments is a really valid reason. If your why is not strong enough, find a way. Find a way to think that carnivore is going to be the perfect base foundational solution. It won't fix everything. Nothing is such a panacea, but it won't hurt you. Other things will, though. Other things will.
Most Americans want to believe that the United States is the gold standard of clean food. But that belief may not hold up to scrutiny. From unsanitary practices in mass production to the addition of dangerous chemicals, countries have good reason to give the side eye to imported foods claiming to be USDA approved. That's right. This week we're talking about American foods that have been banned by other countries. First of all, your classmate wasn't wrong. The dyes known as yellow 5 and yellow 6 have been linked to hives and hyperactivity in children. Sweden and Norway have banned the candies out of concern. The European Union will most likely be banning Skittles at the end of the year, having already swapped out some of the dye for more natural flavors. This is because of something called titanium dioxide, which can be found making the colors pop across the rainbow. As great as we talk about the invention of sliced bread, a lot of European countries have actually banned much of what you'd find on America's wide grocer shelves. That's because we make a lot of our bread not just with grain, but with a variety snack packs worth of additives, like azodicarbonamide, for example, which helps bleach flour and strengthen dough. Fun fact about azodicarbonamide, it's also used in a spectrum of industrial products, including yoga mats.
So my experience of toxicity via my hospital visit was that my mood dropped from an optimistic, forward-looking, got things covered, know what I'm doing person to doubting whether my track of life is going to work. Am I going to be alone? Am I going to run out of money? Am I going to just not have success? Am I ever going to lose enough of this body weight to be able to be super active in my life? Really a lot of depressive thoughts of doom, real thoughts of doom. And I started thinking about my thoughts of doom, and I started thinking about weighing on the scales, and it was all thinking. There was no trusting any process. There was no trusting in the everyness. Other people call it God, and I sometimes do too, but it's an almighty power that's way bigger than me and has proven over and over and over again in my life of its presence and its active presence. I couldn't connect to any of that. I had no trust or faith in how I generally always live my life now. Thoughts of doom, lots and lots of thoughts of doom. All I wanted to do was go to sleep and hope that I wake up the next day and the thoughts gone and I'm back to normal. That's what happened on Thursday. Yay, which was yesterday. And I was able to get back in front of the camera. I realized very clearly that the toxicity disconnected me from my faith, and it disconnected me from this feeling of safety and security that I feel every single day.
What if I told you these ridiculous ads?
Did you say I'll feel better smoking Philip Morris?
Yes, you'll feel better.
Are not all that different from these ads.
Now, every box of Kellogg's Rice Krispies cereal has antioxidants and nutrients that help support your child's immune system.
For decades, massive food conglomerates like Kraft and Kellogg's have made over $1 trillion through the manipulation of food science and food scientists, and ultimately, us. And their goal is much like big tobaccos, to do and say whatever they can to get people to buy their product over and over and over again until their product is no longer a want, but a need.
I think it's important for all of us to take notice of where the toxins are coming from in our world and make decisions about which ones. Pick your battles. You know, you can't get rid of all of them all at once. Know where they are, though. If you know where the toxins are, well, then you can decide, and for good reason. And I truly, truly believe that the carnivore diet is, well, it begins as an ingredients list, and it turns out to be quite a miracle, because from the modern day perspective, we don't have an experience of what a purely clean living life really is, because we're inundated from electromagnetic waves to chemical toxins in our food, in our hair care products, and women wearing toxic makeup all the time, and from young ages too. Then everything seems to be packaged in plastic, and those microplastics are causing estrogen rising effects because of the plastic xenoestrogens, and it's everywhere and almost too much for a person to deal with. Knowing all of that is almost too much for a person to deal with, but I don't think it's too much for a person who steps into a carnivore way of eating to then have a distinct experience of life without the largest incoming toxicity. And then you might choose to clean up your water environment, and then you might choose to clean up your hair care environment and your skin care environment, and etc., etc., etc. And you know, you might turn off your Wi-Fi at night, and you might get blue light blocking glasses if you use the computer a lot when the sun's down, or the TV, or there's lots and lots of things that we can do to counteract the fact that we're so removed from a natural environment because of industry and convenience. And if the majority are doing it, then it's all very available and enticing. Convenience is really enticing. So that's my take on toxicity, and I certainly can't go back to getting used to the noise that toxicity brings in one's life. I can't do it. Even to the point that someone said to me, "Oh, you know that this school they're looking for a particular teacher," and I said, "Oh, even if I could do that job, which I probably could push myself to do that job if I wanted it, I can't work for that school. They'll pay you X, and then they ask for X, Y, Z, and more. I can't work in that environment. I'll let them happily let them do whatever they do over there alone." But no, I really value my serenity and my peace, and if that means that I don't have a regular job, I'm okay with that because I have peace and I have serenity, and I feel good with what I'm doing. And I think everyone should be striving for feeling good with what they're doing in the world. That's why I do all the life coaching that I do. And I apologize for the time that I have taken off work to my clients who I may not have gotten back to. And I have to catch up with all that stuff, scheduling and communications. Life coaching is a real buzz for me because I'm helping people get to a state that they want to get to, but they can't work out how to get over the bridge. And I show them how to get over the bridge. And surprisingly, it doesn't take as much effort as you would think. And I remember my sister saying to me once with her head in her hands, oh, she said, I don't know, I can't do it. And I said to her, have you done it before? And she said, no. And I said, well, how do you know you can't do it? Well, she didn't have an answer. I kind of gave her the answer with the question. We don't know what we're capable of. And sometimes all it takes is one other person who knows how to get across a little river that the other person looks at and says, I can't do it. I say, oh, come on, I'll show you how. And gosh, if I had someone 15 years ago to show me how, I would have been a very, very, well, I'd probably be 15 years more wealthy instead of spending the time working out how to do it. But it really is such a joy to work with all the clients who have come on board so far. And it's my favorite thing to do. And my second favorite thing to do is come and make videos for you. And I cannot do it unless I am clean of toxins, as I have just figured out. So peace be with you. And I hope for you a clean environment, because toxicity of, whether it's a high amount of toxicity all at once, like I just experienced, or a little bit often, all going to have an effect. And taking charge of your life, if you're doing carnivore, you're taking charge of your life. And so you have picked the first battle. And all you have to do is meet the requirements of winning that battle, and then you can pick another battle. And every time you do, you're going to build faith in yourself, trust in yourself and your ability to make decisions, take action, and have a personal win. And I think that's just a wonderful way to be able to reflect on your life and know that you've created in this life experience, you are creating, and perhaps you're co-creating. So be well, take care of yourself, think about your environments, inside, outside, all the sides, and be as well as you can be, because I think that's what it's about. Ciao.